Hi, I'm the Sad Panda. This is going to be another episode of my series, I Read This Should You, and this episode is going to be on a manga that I read a while ago. I remember watching the anime of it, and it left me on a big cliffhanger, so I ended up reading the manga, and I've gone back and read some of it, and it's something that I could definitely make one of these reviews on. So this episode is going to be on a manga called Seraph of the End, and this manga is pretty good. I think it's like a shonen, right? I think it could be considered a shonen, one of those coming of age stories. But the twists and turns are very interesting, and we'll get into that. But first, we need to talk about the plot and the main character, so let's begin with that. The main character is Yuichiro Hayakuya, who is an orphan that comes from the Hayakuya orphanage, which is why his name is that. And in this world, there was this sickness that only affected adults. As he was a kid and he was in an orphanage with a bunch of kids, they didn't get sick, but the main head lady of the orphanage died, and it turns out that the world, the entire world, this happened all at once. And in this happening, vampires, right, which in this world vampires are real, came and started to take the children and use them as blood banks, essentially. So that's where our story kind of begins. This has already happened as the story begins. So the story begins with him being in the way the vampires treat the humans are, obviously they're way stronger than humans, they're faster and all that stuff, and they see themselves above humans, which in this case, since he was only a kid, is very true. But obviously Yuichiro, he called Yu a lot. Yu wanted to escape from this facility. So the vampires kept all of the kids in the orphanage in a facility so they can drink from them whenever they wanted to. But big caveat when it comes to drinking blood, the way it happens in this story is only nobles get to drink blood straight from a person, because apparently it's more fresh and you get more power or whatever, and only the nobles can do that. And there's there's a list of nobles, and they're all very powerful, and they're listed from numbers and stuff, and they're called proctors. So there's the 12th proctor, right, would be weaker than the 4th proctor, right, and they're all nobles considered, right? So we have you, and we have his brother, and his brother is being manipulated by one of these proctors. I think he's the 11th proctor, if I'm not mistaken. He's being manipulated by him, and in giving his brother all the food that he can bring to his family and stuff, he drinks straight from his brother. So it's this huge manipulation thing, but Yu wants to escape from this situation, right? And as anyone would want to do so, right, being held captive, even the nicest captivity is still captivity. So he wants to escape from this. So they hatch this plan. His brother, I know I say his brother, but I forget his name sometimes. His brother ends up getting a map from the 11th proctor's house, this big old mansion, so they can escape. And it turns out that this is all orchestrated by the 11th proctor, because in his opinion, fear and that kind of emotion, raw emotion from children, is the best kind of blood or whatever. So what happens is Yu and his brother get the orphans, and they try to escape, and in front of him, this 11th proctor kills all of them, except for Yu and except for his brother. His brother ends up finding a gun, but what we know is that vampires can't, they don't take damage from regular guns. You need special weapons to fight vampires. They can just heal, even if you cut their arm off or something, they can just reattach it, that kind of thing. And so Yu ends up being able to escape, but he has to watch as his brothers and sisters die, right? And as he gets out of this place, it's daytime, vampires can't go out during the day, so he is lucky in that regard. But outside of this compound, it's a deep hole, essentially. There's stairs and a doorway or whatever, but it's a underground cave, essentially, with beautiful architecture and stuff, which is one of the things I really like about this. Is like the vampire architecture is really cool. It's like gothic medieval type stuff, and I really like it. But anyways, Yu makes it out and is found by the Demon Imperial Army, right? So what is the Demon Imperial Army? So in this world, some humans did survive the sickness that only affected adults. And these humans ended up building like a society, and this does take place in Japan. So this is Japan's Imperial Demon Army. And in the society, they have people that will hunt and fight vampires, right? They also hunt and fight things called religious like name. They're like these giant creatures. They're essentially demons, right? But they're not vampires. So they can't change people into vampires and that kind of thing. But anyways, he's found by this Imperial Demon Army, and he's asked by one of the like head people there, like the lieutenant or whatever, if he wants to be stronger. And so Yu takes like 10 years or whatever. He's like 7 or 8 or whatever, and takes like a few years to become like strong enough to fight vampires. Like he's not strong enough when the story starts, but he like gets stronger, and we'll explain that in a second here. So he like learns sword fighting, and he joins the Imperial Demon Army so he can fight back and try to like avenge his fallen family or whatever. So as the story continues, he ends up like trying to fight a vampire, right? Like he has to go to a school because he's told by like that same mentor that he had that he needs to learn the like qualities of like friendship and that kind of stuff, which is kind of cliche when it comes to stories, but he has to learn how to relate to other people, because in his mind the only thing that's important is revenge, and revenge is like that's it. If anything, if he dies trying to get his revenge, he's happy about that. But even though like he should be like striving to help people, even if he can't get his revenge, like that should be his goal. So they send him to like high school or whatever, and he has this essentially an officer that is I forget what her name is, but she is an officer in the Imperial Demon Army, and she has to like kind of follow him around and make sure he does what he's supposed to do. And in this school, he ends up fighting a vampire, a very weak one, mind you. So like one that was been like starved for blood, so super weak. But he still almost ends up dying and losing. So like it proves to him that he needs to get stronger, and he wants to get stronger, but he needs something called demon weaponry. So the reason why it's called the Demon or Imperial Demon Army is because some of the weapons, right? Well, most of the weapons that are used by this army are infused with some sort of demon power, right? So you can make a pact with like a demon, and they will like lend you some of their power with like weapons and things like that. So he sees that this lieutenant that's following him around has one of these. She has this like giant scythe. He's like, well, I need one of these to get stronger. And so he takes like an aptitude test with a couple other people and ends up getting a very powerful demon, like one of the like there's a special word for it, but like they're like every other part of the demon army, they have like knockoffs of this like demon, right? Like, or these like demons. So these are like super powerful, but they're also a lot more dangerous, because if what they do is demons feed on your sadness, your fear, that kind of stuff. And so they can take over your body if you have too much of it, or if you don't have enough willpower to fight back from them. And so they have to take this aptitude test where he gains a demon in the form of a sword, which allows him to do a really cool stuff. Like he can summon a bunch of swords. Like one of the things he does is he like summons like, I think it's like a crown of swords, he says, but it's like 10 or 15 swords that like summon around him, and then they fly at people, which is really cool. But like the story moves on from that point. So like we learn that Yu wants he wants revenge, and that's pretty much it, right? And obviously we've seen this before in other kinds of like manga and literature and in general, where it's like, ooh, big revenge. But it ends up the thing that really like sets this apart, I guess, in my opinion, is the Seraph of the End. So what is it? What is the namesake of this story? And it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's fine because it's not super deep in the manga, so it's super easy to read up to and understand. So what is Seraph of the End? well, I still don't know, but what we've seen of it is like angels, right? So demons exist. We know this already because he has demon weaponry and like other people have demon weaponry, but angels are also real. But angels are a lot more scary and a lot more powerful than demons in this world, right? So one of the things that he has access to is like called like the pillar of salt or something like that, or angel of salt or whatever. And his whole goal is to cleanse the sin of everyone, not just vampires but humans as well. So it hates pretty much anything living, and it's like inside of his body, right? So the like it's not something that he sees. Like he never, like from what I know, he never like notices this until he's like told about it. Like he doesn't know that he has this like this strength, this power in him. It's just like when he like communicates with the sword, right? Because it's a demon and he makes a pact with it. When he communicates with the sword tells him to never blow the horn, right? So, you know, trumpets and stuff, angels, you know, coming down from the heavens, that kind of thing. So if you like, it's inside your body, and if you blow the horn, the angels will come down and they will like take over you, and they will do as they are supposed to, essentially. And from what I know, he doesn't get the ability to use this, but this is still an ongoing like he has the ability to use it but not like control it, essentially. And the manga is still ongoing, so you know, we'll see how that goes. But so one of the things that he can do is like he blows this trumpet, which happens in the manga around like 40-ish chapters or so. He blows this trumpet and he summons like inside of him this angel, right? Which gives him like one wing, and he can summon like pillars of salt and stuff like that. And these like pillars are strong enough to like eradicate these like proctors, right? And we know that proctors are like noble vampires, very powerful like things, and it's strong enough to like not only combat them but to fight them to the point where they have to either run, escape, or try to knock him out or something, because this angel, all it cares about is sinners, and like that's all it talks about when it like is in Yu's body, or when it like uses Yu's body to fight. It just talks about like, I gotta erase the sinners, you know, all of you are sinners, you don't deserve to live, that kind of stuff. And so like he gains this like ability, gains a halo and this whole thing, and it's really cool. And that's what the namesake Seraph of the End is. There's multiple of these seraphs, so it's like these powerful angels that are inside of people, and they're used as like war implements. So the Imperial Demon Army, right, of Japan actually is at war with other Imperial Demon armies of other locations, essentially. So like even there's infighting where like the main family, I think it's like the Hayaga or something like that, the main family has like infighting where like the oldest son of the head of the family wants to kill his dad and use the Seraph of the End to do so. And one of the main like side characters, his sister is a Seraph of the End, and he doesn't know that. And it turns out that this army is using him and Yu, because Yu is a Seraph of the End, and one of the higher ups of the army, not the Haiga family, but one of the higher ups, is manipulating you, and it's like this whole thing. And that's what makes me actually really like this story, is the politics, right? I mean, obviously it's not huge, it's not the biggest part of the story. I mean, most of the story is like fights and vampires and cool like imagery, but what I like the most is like the infighting, the manipulation between the characters. Like one of the side characters, he has like dual swords, dual scimitars, and he says to you that if it means like getting my sister help because she's sick, then I will turn my back on all of you, even though that's not true. It's like this whole thing, and I really like that in stories, instead of it being just the fights or just like the power of friendship and that kind of stuff. It's more intricate and interesting than that. And so that's about it what I have for this. I'm not going to go too in depth, because if I go too in depth, then it's not going to be fun for you to read. And I do think it's worth a read. All right, it's well above average, just like my last review. But this one is more my wheelhouse, so I give it like an 8. Like a 7.5 actually. There's some stuff I don't like the main character is kind of annoying, right? Like, because all he does in the first like 50 chapters, all he does is talk about getting my revenge or bringing my family back and that whole thing. And it's something that you hear hundreds of times in like manga. It's not something uncommon. It's not something like crazy. It's just it's just whatever, you know. And I want it to be more than that. But I also want to see more of like the Seraphs. I want to know what's going on with them because I haven't read all of the chapters. I'm not caught up fully yet, but I just wanted to get this out because I was reading it recently and I thought it would be good to review it. And like the characters, I don't want to say that they're not memorable because I remember what they look like, right? Like the dude with two scimitars, he's got white hair, glasses, he's got like chains on his scimitars. He has this really cool ability where he can summon a coffin, and once you're in the coffin, it pretty much kills you. Like the one of the main girls, she has this big scythe and fire and stuff. She's got this like pinkish reddish hair and like it's really cool. This other guy, he's got a bow, but like I don't remember their names. I'm just not a names guy. But I do remember the characters, which makes this story one of the better ones in my opinion. If I don't remember the characters, even what they look like, then well, the story isn't all that good, right? So that's about it, 7.5. And if you like my content, leave a like, leave a comment. Obviously, I respond to them. And if you don't like my content, leave a dislike, leave a comment. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, and I'll try to do better. I do all these because I like to. And if you would like my content more, doing something else, I would do something else. Also, sorry for not streaming yesterday. I was waiting for my inspection, which never happened, so I'm going to stream today. I'm going to be playing Dead Cells, so look out for that. Have a great day, and I think that's about it. Yeah, all right.